What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 419 Fishing Co. YouTube channel. We've got a good one today. We're not on the water. It's going to be a little more book heavy today, but I have some tips for you guys if you want to catch more trout and find new trout. And I'm just going to start it off this way. I am not sponsored by any of these products, companies, apps that I mentioned. Maybe one day. Over the course of me being a fishing guide for trout and even just being a trout fisherman here in Wisconsin, after doing it for a while, you start to pick up on different tricks, stuff like that. And I am here today to tell you guys just a little bit about my process and a few different ways that I have found success finding trout in different areas of the state. And so to kick this off, I kind of want to start basic, and then we're going to climb the ladder of multiple different things. And we have my computer. I'm going to have that thing fired up, and you guys can kind of see how I walk through some of this as well. So the first one, if I could recommend an app, obviously base out, get Trout Routes. Okay, this is kind of what it looks like. So you can do your own research on trout routes, but anyways, the pro version is well worth it. And with this app, not only does it show you stream highlights, I'm in Wisconsin, so I'm gonna base everything off of, Wisconsin streams. With this app, what it does allow you to see is stream specifications as for like length limits, anything like that, but also the classes of the streams, which is classes 1 through class 3, okay, is how the Wisconsin DNR rules it. So you can kind of select water based on even just the stream classification. Typically, a class 1 will be better than a class 3. However, I have fished class 3s that are much better than class 1s. Class rank really is to put it simply, it's just how the fish reproduce in these rivers, the trout. Class 1 is like 100% trout reproduction. The habitat's perfect. There's like no stocking put into it. Whereas class 2 is a little mix of natural reproduction and stocking, and class 3 is almost 100% just stocking. But on top of stream specifications and class and stuff like that, Trout Routes is a great tool also to find easements and to find property. So if you're looking at a different stretch of stream that isn't necessarily even labeled as a trout stream, because, and we'll get into it later on in the video, I have a lot of streams in my arsenal that don't even classify as a trout stream. And plus, there's not a whole lot of fly shops in Wisconsin, at least in this part of it, down by like Viroqua and La Crosse and the Driftless, there's a few of them, but otherwise I'm kind of in Green Bay for my base camp here. We have tight lines, which is cool. Again, not sponsored by Trout Routes, but it's a great app to start out with to at least find some identified water. If you're just getting into it, I would recommend that tenfold. It's a good place to start. So now the next step that I like to take in finding different trout water, okay, is I'm actually gonna screen record this and pull this up on my computer, is the Wisconsin DNR trout stocking website and database. So the streams that I was telling you about that aren't on Trout Routes, the DNR will have streams on their stocking records that they have put fish in before. So let me show you a little bit about what I mean. I apologize, my mic isn't great on my laptop, but bear with me here. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna look up Wisconsin trout stocking, Wyoming trout stock, whatever state you're in. And I like to put the year in just to get the most recent ones. But you can also go back and see different years and all that kind of stuff, and that's also extremely valuable as well. So I like to go here. This website pops up, and then you click this, final list of catchable size trout stocked as of June 5th, 2023. So let's go ahead and click that. And you are brought to this page here. This is super easy to read. Again, a lot of these are gonna be on something like Trout Route, something that you're gonna be able to see on like a trout map, but there's always a few surprises in here, which is why I like to take my attention here after I go to Trout Routes or something like that. So let's look, for example, at this one. Brown County, okay, Holler Creek, brown trout, yearlings, 383 of them. Okay, easy enough. So this is one good resource if you just want to figure out where you can go catch trout, if they're stocking them, stuff like that. So now to take that a step further, okay, if there's a different lake, a different river, something like that, that might not pull up again on the year that you looked at. Okay, so if I entered, Wisconsin trout stocking 2023, but, nothing's really coming up, that's not saying there's no trout in there, okay? So here's another really good tool to look at. This one's a little more broad. So if you just look up fish stocking for your state. So again, Wisconsin fish stocking, right here it'll bring you to another .gov link for the DNR. And then here, this fish stocking database is a great tool, okay? This one's a little more broad than just the trout stocking one, okay? And you'd be surprised, it's not the exact same results for trout that you would get just on a stocking report. Okay, so this is gonna pull up something like this. Okay, so this one's a little bit trickier. So it's Adams County. Let's put in right now, let's just put in Big Spring Creek. Okay, And you can also look up, the local name, if it might be something a little different, somewhere else, location, exactly, stuff like that. But you can see here, Big Spring Creek in Adams County was stocked, okay? It was stocked in 72, okay? So looking at this info, if it's being stocked, this might be something, do you want to check it out? Do you not? That's kind of your own discernment, okay? This is a touch old if it hasn't been touched, since the 70s. But anyways, you can see they put brook and brown trout, and you can even look at exactly the location of where they were stocked. Okay, so if you see a stream on the last database report, okay, the stocking report, and it says they dumped, I'm going to just use this creek, for example, this Big Spring Creek. If it says they put so many, trout in Big Spring Creek, okay, if you come over here and you look at it, this is where you can exactly find the location, because stocked fish will always be hanging out right where they were stocked, at least for the first little bit. So if I'm looking up fish that were stocked in 2023, I can find stockers exactly where they were put in. Okay, so this is a little bit like spawn camping them, if you will. So again, this is more of the beginner stuff. Okay, so we found out where, how many, stuff like that for these trout streams. But if you're on something like Trout Routes or on a trout map, a printout or something like that that a fly shop gave you, but you find a stream that it doesn't necessarily have anything in it, there still could be. So let's go back over to the computer and I'll show you kind of the next level of searching to see if there's going to be trout in the river near you or wherever you want to fish. So this process kind of looks like this, okay? So there's a stretch of stream, I am going to name drop, okay? So there was a stretch of stream near me called the Kelly Brook. Okay, the Kelly Brook was not listed on Trout Routes or any stocking records as a trout stream, okay? But it had the habitat, and from what I saw, just kind of, in driving past us, it looked really nice. It looked great, and looks can be deceiving, yes. But I wasn't really, too convinced that it didn't carry fish. So let me show you exactly how this looks and a whole nother angle at finding fish that you might have missed. This is kind of where this process begins, okay? So Kelly Brook, I always put in the name of the water body I want to find more about, and then I'll put Wisconsin, or the state you're in, and then DNR. So this will show you reports from different fishery technicians who have been in the area, any kind of habitat, restoration, anything like that. If I look up, again, Kelly Brook, Wisconsin DNR, look at what comes up right away. Notice of trout stream. Okay, so I'm going to click into here, and right here you have literally a report telling you there's trout in there. Okay, so it's talking about how there's 8 miles of Kelly Brook in O'Connell County that's class 1 trout water, okay? But it wasn't noticed yet on these public apps or on these maps, okay? So it was not that long ago that this stream was found to hold trout. But they went in, they shocked it, and this is what they found. Suitable habitat ratings for trout as either good or excellent. So this is another site you can go to and another process that really does help in all, in your searching for new streams. So now that I found a stream that's a little more low-key, a little more under the radar, and just for the record, Kelly Brook is now, it's been identified as a trout stream on all these public sites, so you don't rip on me for exposing or dropping a stream name, whatever. But there are plenty out there that are still very, very low-key. But the question is how you get to them, okay? A lot of the times on Trout Routes, if a stream is not labeled as a trout stream, there aren't as many public areas listed unless, there's state forest or something nearby. So if I want to fish, a certain stream that I found, I did some research on, and I want to get to it, but it's completely private, here's the next piece of information I have for you in that ordeal. So the next thing I want to tell you about, it's more so a hunting app than it is a fishing app, whatever. But I want to tell you about Onyx. If you do not have Onyx, get it. It tells you easements, it tells you public, it tells you private, it tells you all sorts of different land types. Get it. It's amazing. So if I were to take a chunk of stream, okay, and I'd look at it on a topographical map from Onyx, okay, so what that's going to show me is either a name or a company that owns that land. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the name, I'm going to make a mental note of what the name is, okay, and if I really want to go fish there, if I want to guide around there or something like that, a great piece of info I have and this is the most Wisconsin info you could probably get, is you go up to their house and it's literally like asking to go fish a pond when you're bass fishing, okay? Go up to the door, knock on the door, and what I like to do is bring a case of beer as a little bit of a pick-me-up, appreciation gift to go let you walk through their land. Walk up to the door, literally all you say is, hey, my name is so-and-so, you have a beautiful chunk of land, I'd love if I could just park right on the edge, walk your property line down, get in the water, super clean, won't make a mess, I'll be in and out, you won't even know it. So a lot of the times you will meet a lot of people by, that the fact that you brought something for them or even asked and just didn't trespass. And that'll be like enough alone to go and get in that stream. So there's just, another way that you can get into a stream, a little more under the radar, a little more low key, and it works. So try that one out. And so the last tip I want to leave you for today is do not rule out stocked lakes. So if you use the information I showed before from trout stocking records and databases and stuff like that, and you see that a lake has fish stocked in it, and if it has a stream running off, especially if streams connect to other lakes and kind of make a little chain, 9 times out of 10, there will be fish in those streams running from the lake at some point of the year. And so now this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, because a lot of the times, especially again up in Wisconsin, you have a lake with public boat launch, but a river will run through cabins or woods. That's all private land. So where it gets really fun is you drop in a kayak, drop in a canoe. You could even drop a boat and just leave it, or take it depending on how deep the river or creek is that you're trying to get to. But if you hop in a lake on a kayak, get down to the stream, launch your yak in the woods, okay, then you have a whole stretch of stream that is not accessible at all from anyone fishing off the road, unless, they've asked permission and stuff like that. So this method alone catches a lot of fish, and lakes are great. Lakes will hold trout, in a lot of conditions. But like I said, during different points of the year, if you're mapping out spawn, if you're mapping out, if it's 85 degrees and hot out, for a week straight, fish are going to be moving around, looking for rapids, looking for deep holes, stuff like that. This is another fantastic way to find fish, okay? So really, don't be afraid to explore. You can launch a kayak and get to the other side of a lake, no problem. You can ask landowners for permission, it's no problem. But there are a lot of tools that the state of Wisconsin alone has added, to make the trout fishing experience pretty nice around here. And also it goes out to trout routes too. Like I said, it's a great tool to start with, but I wouldn't put all of your eggs in the basket of what trout routes is. And this is no hate on them, it's just there is so much info that is almost impossible to fit on one app. But like I said before, there is so much research and recon and figuring out that just comes from getting in the stream. So I would 100% give that a try as well for a stream that you might be looking at. And obviously every other person's gonna have their own ways, their own tips. These are just a few of the examples that I like to use to help me find more fish, untouched fish, and less pressured fish. Because when you start finding fish that haven't seen spinners and flies as much as, other lakes and rivers, you will automatically produce way better results. So let me know if you guys use any of this, drop it in the comments. Again, just a few tips that I know, but each person has their own method. Do what you want, find your own stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.